The strange encounter. The street was almost empty that night. A thin fog wrapped around the small town, making everything look strange and quiet. Streetlights glowed weakly, their yellow light flickering like they were tired. The wind was cold, moving through the narrow road as if it carried secrets from far away. Daniel walked with his hands in his jacket pockets. He was coming back from the small store at the corner, a bag of bread and milk swinging at his side. It was an ordinary night, or so he thought. Then he heard it. A soft sound, almost like a whisper. No, it was crying. The sound of a child. Daniel stopped in his tracks. His eyes scanned the street. Nothing. The fog made it hard to see more than a few meters ahead. The crying came again. This time, a little louder. It was coming from the side alley near the old bookshop. He walked closer, his shoes tapping against the cold pavement. "Hello," he called out. "Is someone there?" For a moment, there was no answer, only the sound of the wind. Then a small figure stepped out from the shadows. It was a girl. She couldn't be more than 8 years old. She had long black hair that stuck to her wet cheeks, and her clothes were dusty, like she had been walking for a long time. Around her neck, a strange pendant glowed faintly, a soft blue light that pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Daniel's first thought was that she might be lost, but there was something different about her. "Hey," he said gently, kneeling down so he was at her eye level. "Are you okay? Where's your mom or dad?" The girl looked at him, her eyes wide and shining in the dim light. "I can't find her," she whispered. She was here, but then she wasn't. Daniel's chest tightened. "It's all right. We'll find her. What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lena." "All right. Lena, where do you live? I can take you home." Her gaze shifted away, and she pointed up toward the dark sky. "Not here." Daniel blinked. "What do you mean, not here?" Lena's fingers gripped the glowing pendant. "I'm not from this place. I'm from far away. You wouldn't believe me." He smiled faintly, thinking maybe she was playing a game to distract herself from being scared. "Try me." Before she could answer, the wind picked up sharply. A chill ran through Daniel's body, not from the cold, but from the way the air seemed to hum with energy. The streetlights above flickered wildly, some going completely dark for a moment before sputtering back to life. Lena stepped closer. "To him, they will come," she said quietly. Daniel frowned. "Who will come?" She shook her head. "I can't say if I say. They will find me faster." He didn't like the sound of that. He glanced down the street, empty, but something about the darkness felt heavier now. "Okay," Daniel said, standing up. "Let's get you somewhere safe first. We can figure the rest out later." Lena didn't argue. She slipped her small hand into his, and together they started walking. Her hand was ice cold, like she'd been standing outside for hours, as they passed the old bookshop. Daniel thought he saw movement in the corner of his eye. A shadow, tall and thin, gliding across the far end of the street. He stopped, his heart beating faster. Nothing was there. The fog swirled quietly. He told himself it was just his imagination, but he didn't let go of Lena's hand. They walked quickly. The sound of their footsteps echoed off the empty walls. But behind them, there was another sound, soft, almost silent, like something was following, matching their pace. Daniel didn't want to scare the girl, so he didn't look back. Instead, he spoke to distract her. "That's a nice necklace you have. Where did you get it?" Lena looked down at the glowing pendant. "It's not a necklace," she said. "It's a key." "A key to what?" Daniel asked. She hesitated. "Home?" The word hung in the air, heavy and strange. A sudden shiver ran down Daniel's spine. He finally glanced back, and for a split second, he saw it. A figure in the fog, tall, motionless. Watching when he blinked, it was gone. His grip on Lena's hand tightened. "Let's go," he said firmly. They turned the corner toward Daniel's apartment. The fog was thicker now, wrapping around them like a living thing. Lena whispered without looking up, "We have to hurry." "They're close." Daniel didn't ask who. He didn't need to. The fear in her voice told him enough, and just as they reached his building, a shadow slid across the street behind them, too fast to be human. Daniel didn't look back this time. He just unlocked the door and pulled her inside. Somewhere in the darkness outside, something waited, watching. And the night had only just begun. The warning signs. Daniel's apartment was small, just a single bedroom, a small living area, and a kitchen that could barely fit 2 people. But tonight, it felt safer than the foggy streets outside. He locked the door twice, then pulled the chain across. The faint hum of the street outside faded, leaving only the sound of Lena's quiet breathing. "You can sit on the couch," Daniel said, setting his bag of groceries on the table. Lena walked slowly, her eyes moving over every corner of the room as if she had never been inside a place like this. She ran her fingers along the arm of the couch, touching the fabric gently. "Do you live alone?" she asked softly. "Yeah," Daniel said. "It's just me." She nodded, almost like she was relieved. Daniel went into the kitchen and poured her a glass of water. When he came back, she was sitting still, the glowing pendant in her hands. The blue light reflected off her face, making her look almost unreal. "Drink this," he said. She took the glass, but didn't drink right away. "Do you believe me?" she asked. Daniel sat down across from her. "About what?" "That I'm not from here." Daniel gave a half smile. "You're a kid." Kids have big imaginations. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "I'm telling the truth. If I were lying, they wouldn't be here." "They?" Daniel asked. She looked toward the window. "The ones who followed us." Daniel glanced outside. The street was empty. Only the dim light of the nearest street lamp cut through the fog. "All right," he said carefully. "How about you tell me where your mother is, and I'll help you find her." Lena lowered her voice. "If I tell you, you'll be in danger too." Daniel leaned back, rubbing his face. This was getting strange. He didn't know if the girl was in shock or if she was just lost in making up stories. Either way, she couldn't stay out there alone. "You can stay here tonight," he said. "Tomorrow, we'll figure things out." For the first time, she smiled, just a little. Daniel gave her a sandwich and turned on the small heater. She ate slowly, as if every bite was something rare. When she finished, she curled up on the couch. Holding the pendant close to her chest, Daniel turned off the lights except for the small lamp near the kitchen. He went to his bedroom, leaving the door slightly open so he could hear if she needed him. For a while, everything was quiet. Then, it started. A faint tap against the door. Daniel opened his eyes. He stayed still, listening. Another tap. Like something hard was gently knocking. He sat up and walked quietly to the living room. Lena was sitting upright on the couch, her eyes wide. "They're here," she whispered. Daniel held a finger to his lips and moved toward the door. He peered through the peephole. Nothing. But the knocking came again, 3 slow taps. He swallowed. "Probably just the wind," he said, though he didn't believe it. Lena shook her head. "The wind doesn't knock." Then, silence. Daniel locked the door again, checked the windows, and told Lena to try to sleep. She didn't. She sat, clutching the pendant until the faint light from outside began to fade into the black of night. Hours passed. Daniel eventually drifted off in the chair beside her. At 3:17 a.m., a sound pulled him awake. Not knocking this time, something else. A low hum, like machinery, far away. It grew louder, then faded, then came back again. Lena stood by the window, her face pale. "They're searching," she said. They can't see inside yet, but they will. Daniel's skin prickled. Searching for what? She turned toward him. For me, and now, for you. Before Daniel could reply, a flash of movement crossed the window too fast to see clearly. A tall shadow, bending unnaturally as it passed. Lena stepped back. We need to hide. Daniel thought about calling the police, but he stopped. What would he say? Hello, there's a glowing necklace girl in my apartment and shadow creatures. Outside. They'd think he was crazy. He closed the curtains and moved her toward the bedroom. You'll be safe in here. Lock the door. What about you? She asked. I'll keep watch. She hesitated, but did as he said. Daniel sat in the dark living room, the sound of the hum still faint in the distance. His eyes kept going too. The door, waiting for another knock. It never came. But as the first light of morning touched the street outside, Daniel saw it carved into the wood of his front door. 3 long, deep scratches. They hadn't been there before. The disappearance, the sun rose slowly, but Daniel didn't feel the warmth of morning. The air in his apartment still carried that strange cold from the night before. He rubbed his eyes and went to check on Lena. He knocked on the bedroom door. Hey, you awake? No answer. He pushed the door open. The bed was empty. The blanket was folded neatly, the pillow still holding the faint shape of her head. But Lena was gone. Daniel's heart jumped. He checked the closet, the bathroom, even under the bed. Nothing. The window was locked from the inside. The door had been bolted all night. Lena? His voice echoed in the quiet apartment. No reply. He grabbed his jacket and hurried outside. The morning fog had lifted, but the streets felt empty, hollow. He searched the alley, the bookstore, the corners where the shadows had moved the night before. Nothing. He stopped near the corner store. The owner, an older man sweeping the sidewalk, looked up. Morning, Daniel. You look like you saw a ghost. Did you? See a little girl out here? Black hair, maybe 8 years old. The man frowned. Can't say I have. Not this morning, not last night either. Daniel's stomach turned. He searched for hours. He asked people at the cafe, the bus stop, even the park. No one had seen her. By afternoon, the sky grew heavy with gray clouds. Daniel returned home, his mind running in circles. He tried to convince himself she had simply gone home, that her mother had found her. But if that were true, why had she left without saying a word? Why leave the pendant behind? It was on the couch, glowing softly. Daniel picked it up. But the tail, the metal, was warm, almost like it had been holding heat from a hand, but it had been sitting alone for hours. He turned it over, studying the strange markings carved into its surface. They weren't letters, but symbols, smooth curves and sharp. Angles arranged in a pattern he didn't recognize. When he pressed his thumb against the center, the glow brightened. For a moment, he thought he saw something move inside the light, like stars, spinning slowly in deep space. A sudden noise made him drop. It 3 slow taps on the door. Daniel froze. He walked to the door and looked through the peephole. No one but by. When he opened it, a small folded note lay on the ground. He picked it up. The paper felt strange, almost too smooth. Inside, the handwriting was small and neat. Don't look for her. You won't survive the second night. Daniel's hands tightened around the paper. He stepped into the hall, but it was empty. The sound of distant footsteps echoed, or maybe that was just the building settling. Back inside, he sat with the note and the pendant on the table. His mind raced. If someone had taken her, why leave this warning? And why would they say second night as if this was some kind of countdown? The rest of the day dragged by in silence. Daniel couldn't focus. Every small sound made him glance at the door. By evening, rain began to fall. The city lights outside blurred against the wet glass. He almost didn't hear the knock this time. It was softer, slower when he opened the door. His breath caught. Lena was standing there. Her hair was wet from the rain, but her face was calm. She looked exactly as she had the night before. Same clothes. Same glow in her pendant. But she wasn't alone. A woman stood beside her. She was tall, with dark hair that shimmered slightly under the hallway light. Her skin was pale, almost too pale, and her eyes. Daniel had never seen eyes like that before. They were a deep silver, reflecting light like liquid metal. "Mr. Daniel," she said softly. Her voice was smooth, but there was something in it that made the air feel heavier. "Thank you for keeping my daughter safe." Lena smiled faintly. "I told you he would help." Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. His mind was still catching up. The woman stepped closer. "We need to talk. May we come in?" Daniel hesitated. Something about her presence made every instinct in him shout caution. But Lena was here, alive and unharmed. He stepped aside. "Yeah, come in." The woman walked in with quiet grace, her eyes scanning the room in a way that felt calculated. She didn't look curious. She looked like she was checking for danger. Lena sat on the couch as if nothing had happened. The pendant glowed brighter now. And Daniel noticed the woman wore a similar one, except hers was black, with a faint red light. The woman turned to him. "You don't know what you've stepped into, Daniel. But now that you've touched the pendant, you can't go back." Daniel frowned. "What are you talking about?" She glanced toward the window, then back at him. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "They will come again tonight." The mother's plea. Daniel stood frozen. The woman's silver eyes didn't blink as she studied him. Like she was reading more than just his face. Like she was searching his thoughts. Outside, the rain tapped softly against the window. But inside the room, the air felt heavy, almost electric. Lena sat on the couch, holding her glowing pendant like a child holding a teddy bear. The woman moved closer, each step graceful, silent. "My name is Soraya," she said. "I am Lena's mother." Daniel crossed his arms. Where was she this morning? "I woke up and she was gone. I searched the whole city." Soraya's expression didn't change. "I took her. She was not safe here in daylight." Daniel frowned. "Safe from what?" Soraya glanced at the door, as if she expected it to burst. "Open at any moment. The ones who follow us. The ones you saw last night. You call them shadows. They are not shadows." Daniel remembered the tall, thin figure in the fog, the scratches on his door, the humming in the night. His stomach tightened. "I don't understand," he said. "Why me? Why bring her here at all?" Soraya stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Because you touched the key." Daniel looked at Lena's pendant. "The necklace?" Soraya shook her head. "It is not a necklace. It is a gate lock. It keeps a door closed, a door to my world." Daniel almost laughed, but the way her silver eyes locked on him made the words die in his throat. "My world is not far in distance," Soraya continued. "'Tis far in direction, a place your kind cannot see unless the gate is open. There is no time for you to understand fully, only to accept that danger is already here." Daniel tried to process her words. "It's so dangerous, then why come here at all?" Soraya looked at Lena, her voice softening. "Because they took everything from us. My home, my family, my husband." She paused. "And if they take Lena, I will have nothing left." Lena's small voice broke the silence. "They almost found us last night." Daniel turned to her. "Then why are you here now? Wouldn't it be safer somewhere far away?" Soraya stepped forward until she was only a foot from him. "There is only one way we can remain here without being taken. I must bond with someone from this world." Someone who has touched the key. Someone they cannot remove without breaking their own laws. Daniel blinked. You mean me? Yes. Her voice was calm but firm. I am asking you to marry me. Daniel stared at her. He expected her to laugh, to say it was a joke. But her face was stone. You don't even know me, he said. I know enough, she replied. I know you didn't leave my daughter when you could have. I know you faced the shadows instead of running. That is more than I can say for many in my world or yours. Daniel stepped back, rubbing his forehead. This is insane. Marriage isn't some magic shield. Her silver eyes flashed faintly. In your world? No. In mine, it is a binding. Of life, if you accept, my life becomes yours, and yours becomes mine. They cannot take you without taking me. And by their own code, they cannot take me if I am bound to a human protector. Daniel felt his pulse in his ears. And if I say no, Soraya's gaze didn't waver. Then they will take us tonight. Both of us, and you, will be left with a memory you cannot explain, a hole you cannot fill. The room went silent except for the rain. Daniel looked at Lena. She was watching him with wide, hopeful eyes, but not scared. Not like before. It was almost as if she believed this was the only answer. A deep vibration rattled the floor beneath their feet. Daniel froze. What was that? Soraya turned toward the window. They are early. The vibration came again, deeper, louder, like something massive was moving beneath the street. The lights in the apartment flickered. Soraya's voice became sharp. You must choose. Now, Daniel's mind raced. He thought of the scratches on his door, the shadow in the fog, the humming in the night, and now this. Whatever it was, coming closer. I don't even know what marrying you means in your world. Ahai, he said. You will, she replied. If we live through tonight, the vibration turned into a low, rumbling growl that seemed to come from everywhere. At once, Daniel felt his chest tighten. He looked at Soraya, then at Lena. Outside. The streetlights went out. Darkness pressed against the windows. Soraya stepped toward him, her pendant now glowing the same blue as Lena's. Daniel, take my hand. Something heavy slammed against the building. The walls shook. Daniel reached out, and just as his fingers touched hers, the door shook violently. 3 deep, slow knocks echoed through the apartment. Soraya's voice was barely a whisper. It has begun. The truth revealed, the door shuddered again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Daniel's heartbeat pounded in his ears. Soraya's silver eyes locked on his. If you want to live, you must understand who they are, and why they will not stop. The knocking stopped, replaced by a low, stretching creak, as if something was sliding along the walls outside. Daniel swallowed. Fine. Tell me. Now, Soraya glanced at Lena, who clutched her pendant tightly. The soft blue glow lit her small face. My people, Soraya began, were the first to walk through the gates between worlds. The gates were not doors like, you know them? They were bridges of light carved into the very air. But we were not alone out there. We found others. Some were like us. Some were worse. The floor vibrated under Daniel's feet. He could almost hear something breathing. Outside the walls, they called themselves the Hollow Ones, Soraya continued. Once, they were alive. But they gave up their bodies to become shadows. They feed on energy, not just the kind that runs your machines, but the kind that runs you. Your life. Your soul. Daniel felt cold crawl across his skin. They're after you, because I carry the last key, she said, tapping the glowing pendant around Lena's neck. It holds the location of the Sky Gate, the only remaining path to my home. If they take it, they will pour into your world, and there will be nothing left here to stop them. Daniel stared at Lena. You gave it to her? She is the only one they cannot sense directly, Soraya said. Her presence hides the key signal until last night when she activated it by accident. The realization hit Daniel. That's why they found you. Soraya nodded. And why I brought her to you. Once you touched the key, it marked you. Now, we are connected. The Hollow Ones cannot take it without taking you too. Daniel shook his head. Then why do you need me to marry you? Isn't touching it enough? Deep rumble rolled through the apartment. Something heavy scraped across the outside wall, slow and deliberate. Soraya's voice grew urgent. Touching is a mark. Marriage is a bond. A bond seals us under the old law, one they still fear to break. Without it, they can drain you until you are nothing. With it, they cannot touch us. Not without risking their own unraveling. Daniel laughed, but it wasn't from humor. It was from disbelief. This is insane. You're asking me to tie myself to someone from wherever you're from, just because shadow monsters say so. Soraya stepped closer. The glow from her pendant and Lena's merged into a brighter light, wrapping the room in an eerie blue hue. I am asking you to save your world, and hers, and mine. Daniel opened his mouth to answer, then froze. From the window, a black shape pressed against the glass. It was tall, its form stretching unnaturally. The surface of it rippled like oil in water. 2 holes opened in the shaped eyes. Eyes of flesh, but pits of deep nothingness. Daniel's breath caught. He couldn't move. The shape leaned closer, and a voice not from outside, but inside his mind, whispered, "Give." The key. Daniel stumbled back, gripping the edge of the table. Soraya stepped in front of him, her pendant burning brighter. "Lily?" The shadow hissed like steam escaping from metal, then slipped away from the window, vanishing into the rain. Daniel was shaking. What was that? One of their scouts, Soraya said. If it had touched you without the key's protection, you would already be gone. Daniel sat heavily in the chair. Okay. Let's say I believe you. Say I agree to this. Bond. What happens then? Soraya's tone softened. Then, Daniel, you will carry a piece of me, and I will carry a piece of you. You will see what I have seen, and you will be able to walk where no human has walked. Lena spoke for the first time since the shadow left. You'll be like a guardian, not just for me, but for the gate. Daniel rubbed his face. And if I say no, Soraya's silver eyes darkened. Then you won't see another sunrise. The hum began again, the same low vibration Daniel had heard on the first night. But this time, it was louder, heavier. The building trembled. Soraya's head snapped toward the door. They've found the entrance. Daniel stood, his fear mixing with adrenaline. Then maybe you should have started with this story an hour ago. Soraya didn't smile. An hour ago, they were still far away. Now, they are here. The door handle began to turn. Not in a rush, but slowly. Like whoever was outside wanted them to know it could open at any moment. Daniel looked at Soraya. If we do this bond thing, it stops them, for good. She shook her head. No, it only buys us time. Enough to reach the gate and seal it forever. And if we fail? She met his gaze without blinking. Then your world becomes theirs. The door rattled under a heavy blow. Dust rained from the ceiling. Soraya extended her hand. Daniel hesitated for a heartbeat, then grabbed her hand. The moment their skin touched, a surge of light exploded from both pendants, flooding the room. Outside, the shadows screamed. The attack the light from the pendants burned so bright, Daniel had to shield his eyes. Outside, the shadows let out a sound that was not human, a mix of a scream and the tearing of metal. Then came the impact. The door shook violently as something slammed into it. Once, twice, on the third hit. The wood cracked. They're breaking in. Daniel shouted. Seraya pulled Lena close. Her silver eyes glowed now, brighter than the pendants. Daniel, take her and run. Run where? He said, panic rising in his chest. They're out there. The crack in the door split wider. Through it, Daniel saw movement, black. Shifting forms pressing against the barrier like oil pushing through glass. Soraya's voice sharpened. Down the fire escape. I'll hold them. Daniel grabbed Lena's hand. Let's go. They raced toward the kitchen window, but before he could pull it open, a shadowy arm shot through the gap in the door, its fingers long and blade-like. It scraped along the floor, leaving deep cuts in the wood. Lena gasped. They're inside. Soraya moved faster than Daniel thought possible. In one motion, she tore the curtain rod from the wall and slammed it into the shadow's arm. Blue sparks erupted where the metal touched it, and the arm pulled back with a hiss. Move. She ordered. Daniel shoved the window open, cold rain, slapping his face. He climbed out first, then helped Lena onto the fire escape. The metal stairs groaned under their weight below. The alley was drowned in darkness, not from the night, but from something thicker. The shadows moved like living smoke, filling every corner. Go down, Daniel urged. They descended, but halfway down, a figure formed at the bottom. It wasn't just a shadow. It had shape now. Tall, hunched, with limbs too long and a head that tilted unnaturally. Its face was smooth, featureless, except for two pits of endless black where eyes should be. It lifted one arm, and the air grew heavy. Pressing against Daniel's chest, Lena whispered, "It's a hunter." Daniel didn't know what that meant, but the thing started climbing the stairs toward them, its body flowing like liquid over the metal. Back up. Daniel shouted. They scrambled back up toward the apartment window, but behind them came the sound of shattering wood. The door was gone. 3 more figures slipped into the room like smoke seeping underwater. They moved on the walls and ceiling, as easily as the floor. Daniel's heart pounded. They were trapped. Soraya stepped forward, her pendant blazing. She spoke words Daniel didn't understand, sharp, alien syllables that seemed to vibrate in his bones. The light from her pendant shot outward in a wave, hitting the nearest shadow. The thing recoiled, its form twisting violently before it evaporated into thin mist. But to others lunged at her. Daniel pulled Lena back into the far corner of the fire escape, trying to keep her away from the fight. Stay behind me. Inside. Soraya moved like lightning. She ducked under one creature's arm, her own glowing with streaks of blue light, and drove her hand straight through its chest. It burst apart in a spray of black mist. But the last one was faster. It hit her from behind, knocking her against the wall. Her pendant flickered. The hunter on the stairs was almost to them now, its long arms reaching. Daniel's instinct screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. His eyes darted to a rusted pipe along the side of the fire escape. Without thinking, he grabbed it and swung with all his strength. The pipe connected with the hunter's head. A shock went through his arms, and blue sparks danced along the metal. The hunter staggered back, hissing. Daniel didn't wait. He swung again, harder. The creature's body shimmered like it was breaking apart, and then it dissolved into smoke. Breathing hard, Daniel dropped the pipe. I killed it. Lena shook her head. You sent it back. It's not dead. None of them die here. Inside, Soraya slammed the last shadow to the floor. Her hand flared with blue light, and it vanished in an instant. She turned to Daniel, her eyes sharp. We need to move. more will come. Daniel climbed back inside, helping Lena through. Where? The Sky Gate? She said. It's the only safe place left for us now. Lena's voice was small. But it's far. Soraya nodded. Then, we start now. They won't stop hunting us. Daniel glanced at the shattered door, the deep scratches on the floor, the cold wind pushing into the room. If we leave, they'll follow. They'll follow no matter where we go, Soraya replied. But if we reach the gate before dawn, we might seal it. And then, Daniel, this world will be safe. Daniel took a deep breath. All right. Lead the way. Soraya looked at him for a long moment, her silver eyes softer now. You fought for her, she said, glancing at Lena. You're already her protector. Before Daniel could answer, a distant howl rose through the night, not from the street, but from the sky. Soraya's grip tightened on her pendant. We're out of time. And with that, they stepped into the rain-soaked darkness, leaving. The wreck of the apartment behind the Choice of the Rain fell harder as Daniel, Soraya, and Lena moved through the empty streets. Streetlights flickered, throwing shadows that seemed to stretch unnaturally long. Soraya walked ahead, her glowing pendant casting a faint blue circle around them. Lena stayed close to Daniel, gripping his hand tightly. How far is this Sky Gate? Daniel asked, his voice low. Not far in distance, Soraya said. Far in danger. The words sent a shiver down his spine. They turned a corner and entered an abandoned industrial yard. Rusted metal towers rose like skeletons against the stormy sky. In the center stood a massive circular frame of stone and steel, twice the height of a building. The surface inside the ring shimmered faintly, like heat rising from asphalt. That's it? Daniel asked. Soraya nodded. It's the last gate between our worlds. If we pass through, I can close it forever. Lena looked up at him, Akuna Kana, but once. It's closed. You can't come back. Daniel's chest tightened. I'm not from your world. I wouldn't be going through anyway. Soraya turned to him. You misunderstand. If you bond with me before we pass through, you will share my protection. You will survive the crossing and help me close it from the other side. Without you, they will break through before I can seal it. He stared at her, and if I don't, her silver eyes were unflinching. They will pour into your world, and no one will be able to stop them. Before he could answer, a deep, rolling growl echoed from the far side of the yard. Shapes began to emerge from the shadows, tall, thin, and many. The hollow ones, Lena gasped. They found us. Soraya gripped her pendant. We have minutes, at most. The creatures moved slowly at first, then faster, their bodies sliding over the wet ground like liquid. The air grew colder with every step they took. Daniel's pulse hammered in his ears. All right. Tell me exactly what happens if I say yes. Soraya stepped close, her voice calm but urgent. The bond will tie our lives together. Your strength will become mine and mine. Yours, you will see my world as I see it. You will fight as I fight, and they will fear you. The hollow ones hissed, their voices in his mind. Give us the key. Give us the child. Daniel looked down at Lena, who held his hand tighter. Her eyes were full of trust. The ground trembled. The gate behind them began to glow brighter, its surface swirling. Daniel took a breath. Let's do it. Soraya reached for his hand. The moment they touched, the blue light from their pendants exploded outward, forming a circle around them. Symbols Daniel had never seen before floated in the air, spinning slowly. The hollow ones stopped moving. Their hiss turned into a low, angry roar. Soraya spoke in her strange, sharp language, each word ringing like steel striking stone. Daniel felt warmth rush through him, not just in his skin, but deep in his bones. His vision blurred for a moment. And when it cleared, he saw them. Not as shadows as they truly were. Tall, skeletal figures with skin like black glass. Their eyes burning with a faint, unnatural light. Their movements were sharp, insect-like. And now, they looked at him with something new. Fear. The nearest one stepped back. The others hissed but did not cross the glowing circle. Soraya's voice was steady. You are bound now. They cannot take you without taking me. Daniel gripped the pipe he had carried from the fire escape. Good. Then let's finish this. The creatures surged forward, but when they hit the blue light, they were thrown back as if struck by a force they couldn't see. Soraya grabbed Lena and pulled her toward the gate. Hold them off, she shouted. Daniel didn't hesitate. He stepped beyond the circle, swinging the pipe at the nearest hollow one. The impact sent a burst of blue energy through the creature, shattering it into smoke. Another lunged at him, claws outstretched. But he sidestepped and drove the pipe into its chest. One after another, they came, and one after another, they fell back. Soraya reached the gate, pressing her pendant to its surface. The swirling inside grew violent, flashes of distant stars and strange landscapes appearing in its depths. They're breaking the seal from the other side. She called Daniel. Now, he fought his way to her side. Together, they placed their hands on the gate. The blue light from their bond surged into the frame, the symbols in the air spinning faster until they became a single blinding ring. The hollow ones screamed, their forms dissolving as the gate began to collapse inward. Lena clung to Daniel's side. It's working. The light grew brighter, forcing Daniel to close his eyes. The roar of the hollow ones faded, replaced by a deep silence. When he opened his eyes, the gate was gone. The yard was empty. The rain fell softly now, washing away the black stains where the creatures had been. Soraya stood beside him, her pendant dim but still glowing faintly. It is done. Daniel let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. So, that's it. They're gone. For now, she said. But gates can be built again, and if they are, they'll try once more. Lena smiled at him. But next time, they'll have you. Daniel looked at them both, feeling the bond in his chest like a quiet heartbeat. Yeah, he said softly. They will. The three of them walked away into the night. The rain washing the last traces of the battle from the streets. Somewhere above, the clouds parted just enough to show a sky full of stars, distant, waiting, and Daniel knew his life would never be ordinary again.